Hi everyone, welcome to my week 5 multimedia discussion. Jennifer Nelson in the history and theory class. In this presentation, we are going to be talking about the classical theories versus the introduction of the human perspective. We're going to go over Frederick Taylor's scientific management, Abraham Maslow's human motivation, Katz and Kahn's system perspective, Max Weber's bureaucracy, the theory of X and Y by Douglas McGraver, and Mary Parker Follett, The Giving of Orders, and Martin Grotzin's The American System. So the father of efficiency, Frederick Taylor, basically felt that there was one best way to perform a task in order to reach the highest productivity. He felt that science could solve every problem, and humans were simply there to support the machines. Then a New Age way of thinking by Katz and Kahn argued a systems perspective, which was understanding that the organizations are interdependent rather than just viewing people as objects. In their opinion, efficiency was derived from the open system of organization, which factored in more of the application and a human approach. Mary Parker Follett then argued for a more collaborative approach to management, where the manager isn't a dictator but takes input from the employee. It's what she described as power with rather than power over. Follett wrote a really interesting approach to understanding more of the individual rather than simply the work, and that in and of itself would improve efficiency. The Hawthorne experiment concurred with Follett, but also challenged many of Frederick Taylor's ideas. And up until this point, that hadn't really happened. It also determined that when employees were being watched, their performance improved regardless of any changes made to their environment. This was the first type of experiment which, actually unintentionally, acknowledged the necessity of human relations in the workplace, and that the ability for people to change their behavior when they knew they were being observed, which made the management even more important in the effectiveness of the organization. Abraham Maslow, he also argued that the social atmosphere of the workplace is what drives the employees, and that alone contributes to efficiency. So a major component of the Constitution was the idea of federalism. Basically the idea that federal and state government were separate entities. In the 19th century, federalism was characterized as a dual system, which really limited the federal government by keeping the state and the federal government separated. However, with the introduction of social change in the 1960s, a new idea of federalism arose by Martin Grotzin's, which was a marble cake idea of federalism. This became the new way of having the state and federal systems work together. There was a rise in federal spending, which began to spread to the local and state levels. And this further intertwined both the federal and state government, especially regarding social programs. They began to team up, and they were able to implement programs which were targeted at protecting the environment, education, combating poverty, and trying to reduce crime. Grotzin's argued from a public administration position, the marble cake idea of federalism led to the development of more efficient programs aimed at the concentrated geographical area. So basically, they were able to effectively implement programs at the state level that were specific to the area that they were trying to focus on. So bureaucracy, obviously Max Weber is, the father of bureaucracy, but he came from a strictly technical standpoint, in that he had an ideal system of bureaucracy, and if they were ideal, then they could obtain efficiency. He felt the manager should be in control of the organization, and he in of himself reduces the duplication of services. Anthony Downs expanded on Weber's theory of an ideal type of bureaucracy, and he felt they needed to be large organizations because then they would attract capable personnel, and it also provided leaders with more power and prestige. This would also maximize morale and improve the quality of performance. Downs also said that many government bureaucracies never die once they become firmly established. While Weber's theory tended to lack personalization and account for this perspective of the worker, it was a rational instrument for producing results in an ideal type of bureaucracy. Theory X and Y came along, and that postulated that managers needed to control, Theory X needed to control their employees by using a negative reinforcement system, basically inducing fear in their employees. But then Douglas McGregor also had the opposite of that theory, Theory Y, which took into account that employees are motivated and they actually want to achieve success. And this kind of goes along with Abraham Maslow's theory of hierarchy, which suggests that employees can be motivated to satisfy their personal needs, which then can be used or applied in the workplace to stimulate the worker's motivation. So yes, it's important, the human perspective. In the earlier classical theories, it was, the Industrial Revolution, the human worker was not really a component in efficiency. But as we progressed and got into the 1960s where, public administration was really booming, there was all these social programs that we had, the worker was an integral part of the organization. So it's definitely important that these theories have evolved over time, and now they focus more on the psychology of the worker and the workplace in general, which I think in and of itself factors into the efficiency of that organization. These are my references, and thank you so much for listening. I hope everyone has a great week.